Hey guys, good evening. Welcome to another episode of The Intentional Current. It is November 6th, 2022. Beautiful Sunday evening right now, and we are going to discuss. I'm pretty sure you guys know what's coming up in a couple of days, these next midterm elections, and that's what we're going to discuss right now. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, about the polls and which way they're going. I personally think polls have been pretty volatile over the past several days, even the past several weeks in some cases. So a lot of what is being talked about in mainstream media and even in independent media, they're saying, as of recently, oh, the Democrats are in for a big blowout, a big upset. I just don't think that's true. I feel like the Democrats are going to do a whole lot better than most people expect for two reasons. First of all, we've seen polls be wrong so much of the time, especially in these recent years. Polls sometimes under or overrepresent certain elements of the population. We've heard about polls overusing landlines, and obviously people that use landlines are more than likely going to be older people who tend to lean more conservative, Republican leaning. So there's been all kinds of errors and flaws in pollings over the recent years. So nowadays I take whenever I see a poll this or that way with a grain of salt. Obviously, if you see a blowout poll where, oh, this candidate's leading by 20 points or 30 points, whatever like that, then obviously, like, that's more believable. But when it's like a few points here or there, or even when it's 10 points or whatever, like there's always a lot more room for error than most people will lead you to believe when you're looking at polls. And the way that they've been up and down, and this candidate's leading, now that candidate's leading, and so many of these races, I really don't trust the polls as much as some would. The polls said Hillary was going to win in 2016 by a long shot, and obviously we know how that went. The polls said that Biden was going to crush Trump in 2020, and he did win, but not nearly by as much as the polls and the analysts and the experts were saying. So, yeah, that's what I think about polls at this day and age. But anyway, yeah, two reasons I feel like the Democrats are going to do much better than people expect. Number one, the Roe v. Wade ruling that we just obviously heard about in the summer, and women are really enraged. They were enraged when it came out, and rightfully so, obviously. And they're still enraged. And women nowadays make up the majority of the electorate. And I don't think, well, it's being talked about that that's going to play a factor, but I don't think people realize exactly how strong of a factor that's going to be. I'm going to give you an example. In Kansas, they did right after the Roe v. Wade thing was announced, in Kansas, not too long after, they did a referendum to see how the voters would lean towards the issue of abortion. And I believe, that referendum won to protect abortion rights, and it won by 60%. Kansas is a very much so a deep red state. So you have a deep red state that voted pretty decisively to protect abortion rights. It's gonna play a huge factor, these upcoming midterms. That's number one. Number two, there's indications already that the turnout for these midterms are going to be massive. Some experts and some analysts are even saying possibly record breaking. And of course, we all know whenever there's large turnout, massive turnout in elections, they traditionally tend to lean progressive, Democratic leaning. Whenever there's a smaller turnout, they traditionally tend to lean more conservative, Republican leaning. Now, each of these factors in and of themselves, you might say, oh, that's just one thing, or that's just one thing, and just because this one thing is this way or that one thing is this way doesn't mean it's going to change everything. But I think both of those factors combined are going to make a big difference, much more than mainstream media and even some independent media outlets will lead you to believe. Now, this is not to make everybody complacent. Like, obviously, still get out there and vote. I know I will be. So, this is not to encourage complacency, and I don't want to send out that message. But I also don't want to perpetuate this notion that Democrats are going to be just completely destroyed these upcoming midterms. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. And I believe Democrats are going to keep, I believe Democrats are going to gain seats in the Senate. That's number one. I believe Democrats are going to probably gain a good 3 or 4 seats in the Senate. And I believe Democrats can do well in the House too. The House is probably more stronger Republican leaning, that like the polls are showing that the House is probably stronger Republican leaning, even though obviously I said, polls aren't everything, but they're pretty strong in some of these races. So I'm a little bit more wobbly with the House, but I don't believe that it's going to be a blowout as strongly as people are leading you to believe. I believe there's even a possibility, it's a slim possibility, but I believe that there is still hope the Democrats can hold the House as well. So this is the amount of importance I put on these two factors that I don't think is being emphasized as strongly as they should be. I'll say this, like, if I had to measure it in like a percentage way, I would say the Democrats have a slightly more than half chance in outperforming the Republicans these midterms, just in general, overall. Not to say it's going to be like a devastating, dominant victory in favor of the Democrats, but I believe it's going to be much better than people expect. I certainly don't believe it's going to be this blowout domination by the Republican Party that is being perpetuated now in a lot of news and media outlets. So, we're gonna see what happens, and yeah, we're gonna do some videos on election day and cover the election on November 8th, Tuesday, and we're gonna do some post-election videos as well in the days after that and see where things went. Was I right? Was I wrong? Why I was right or why I was wrong, or what exactly how things pan out. So this is my prediction right now, but obviously with American politics, you never know how things can turn out. There's been surprises before. I'm sure there'll be many more in the future, but if I'm taking an educated guess, this is how I'm feeling right now. So yeah, we'll see, guys. Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to watch. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. And like I said, we're going to be doing much more videos in the future covering the election analysis and post-election analysis, along with many other topics, obviously. And yeah, look forward to making more content for you guys. Take care. Have a good night.